So what we're going to finish up with in section 12.5 is we're going to concentrate on finding normal probabilities. So when we are finding probabilities with normal models, we're going to follow a three-step process. Our first step is going to be to sketch our normal curve. We're going to go through and label our normal curve using our mean and our standard deviation like we did with our empirical rule problems. And then we're going to shade in the region of interest. After we do that, we're going to find our z-score for the needed number or numbers. And then we're going to be looking up a value in a table. And there is a link to this table posted in D2L. And as we're going through these next couple of examples, a couple of them have the table printed in here, and then I'll also be referring to this separate sheet of paper. So I strongly recommend either printing it or bookmarking it or saving it or just having it open in a separate window as you're going through and working on these problems. So if we're looking for a probability scenario that is a less than value, we're going to look up the probability in the table associated with that z-score, and that's going to be our probability. If we're looking for a probability that is between two values, we're going to look up two values in our table, and we're going to find the difference of those. If we're looking for a greater than value, we're going to look up a probability in a table, and then we're going to find its complement. We're going to subtract this from 1. So this is going to be the process that we're going to go through in the next few examples. So just to kind of give us a little bit better idea of what we're looking for when we're looking at our table, is we're going to, as we're doing these problems, this table that I'm referring to has to do with our standard normal model. So the standard normal model, shown in this notation n, 0, 1, is a normal model with a mean of 0, so that's where that 0 comes from in that notation, and a standard deviation of 1, so that's the other part of that notation, the capital N referring to a normal distribution. The standard normal model allows us to find probabilities for any normal model. The standard normal model is related to z-scores, or our standard units. So in our textbook on pages 772 to 773, what we see is a table. Again, I will also post the table. I've got a little tiny picture of it posted below. But as we're kind of looking at this table in general, it's generally a 2-page table. So one page has negative z-scores, one page has positive z-scores. Numbers along the margin, when joined to the numbers across the top, represent z-scores. The circled number in this particular table shows the z-score and the area to the left of 1.00 standard units. So when we're looking up values in our table, we're always thinking about area to the left, which is going to be important as we're going through and we're calculating some different things and some different problems. And then what we see here is the beginning part of our z-score and then the second decimal value of our z-score. So this top z-score in the corner, 0.00, that's a z-score of 0. 50% is to the left, 50% is to the right. Then if we look down to the value that's circled, we see 1.0, and then our second decimal point up here is also a 0, so that goes to 1.00. The next one over would be 1.01, 1.02, 1.03, so on and so forth. So as we're using this table, our whole number that's out front of our decimal point and our first decimal digit are going to come from this label on the left, and then our second decimal digit is going to come from the labeling on the top. So that means as we're going through and we're working with z-scores, unless we're told otherwise, we're always going to be rounding our z-scores to 2 decimal values.